I'm going to record this because I don't know how long it's going to keep working. But listen to this hard drive. It just so happened I plugged it in after sitting for 2 years and it booted. Let me just open the hard drive. Uh-oh. It's already done. Oh. Type 11.
Hi, and welcome back to another video by me. And first off, before we do anything, I just want to thank you for the amount of love and support that my last video got about my Toshiba libretto. As I'm filming this right now, it has 13,000 views, and that is amazing. I never would have believed that it would have exploded the way that it did, and I really, really am thankful for all the views that I've got and all the interaction and all the subscribers. There's a whole lot more people now. I have almost 300 subscribers, which is amazing. So I just want to thank you. I'd love to keep doing this, and I do intend to. And it would be awesome if I could make this my career, but you know. Patreon? Anyway, before we begin and show you this laptop, I think we should start with a brief history lesson of the PowerBook 100 and why it was so important.
In October 1991, Apple released 3 brand new computers, Apple's first line of real laptops and the first machines to brandish the PowerBook name. These models were the PowerBook 100, 140, and 170, featuring a Motorola 68000 processor in the 100 series, which was built by Sony, interestingly, and 68030s in the 140 and 170 models, running at 16 and 25 MHz respectively, with the 170 also having a Math coprocessor. A year later, they axed them all and replaced them with the 145, 160, and 180. The 145 used the same 25 MHz processor as the previous 170 model, but didn't have the Math coprocessor. The new 160 and 180 models had a newer, more powerful 68030, with the 180 also sporting that Math coprocessor. Then, another year later, they got their hands up in there again and gave the 145 more RAM, making it the 145B, and gave the 160 and 180 something new, something that Apple laptops had been severely lacking up to this point. Color. 256 color displays, with the 165C being passive matrix and the 180C being active matrix.
In 1993, Apple introduced 2 new machines that had color, and that was amazing because up to this point, no Macintosh had ever had a color display on it. The 165 was passive matrix, the 180 was active matrix. So which one do I have? I have the active matrix one. This is the top of the line, the very best of the PowerBook 100 series, and I'm so happy that I have it. I found it on Facebook Marketplace for $100 in Indianapolis. I drove and bought it. I paid $100 for it, but in 1993, when the college professor bought it, he paid upwards of $4,160, plus whatever the 8 MB RAM expansion and optional modem was, so likely hundreds more. I think I got the better bargain here. But this machine isn't in fantastic shape as it sits now. Like I said, I bought it in 2020, but it's just been sitting on a shelf, and over that time it has had some light degradation. So the hinges on this display are in awful shape. They've broken. For some reason, Apple decided that having plastic standoffs in the lid was just enough to hold the displays, and it's early 90s Macintosh plastics. It's just brittle and they break. The other issue that this has, the hard drive failed. It was making weird bearing noises like you heard at the beginning of the video, and it was working all right, but eventually it started having issues whenever the heads would park, and it would not initialize again, and you'd have to restart the machine, and it kept doing that to the point where it would just no longer boot. So right now I have this external SCSI zip drive with an image of 7.6.1, and yeah, that's what it's been running off of. So if you look at Wikipedia and everymac.com, it'll tell you that this machine, unlike all of the other PowerBook 100 stuff up down to the actual PowerBook 100, that they can all run up to 7.6.1, but for some reason this and the 165C are relegated to 7.5.5 as the latest operating system. this is incorrect. This can run 7.6.1 just fine. If a Classic 2 can run 7.6.1 with a 16-bit data path and no FPU, this will have no issues running 7.6.1, and it does. So every Mac in Wikipedia is incorrect. So I'm going to be replacing the hard drive in this machine with a SCSI to SD. They make a specific one for hard drives for laptops. They are different, they have a different connector on them. So I'm going to be upgrading that with a 4GB SCSI to SD adapter and with a micro SD card, 4GB, and then I'm going to be installing 7.6.1 from floppy disk. I bought the set, I'm going to use it. Speaking of floppy disks, this drive has no problem reading disks, but whenever you try to write to one or format one, it will error out and just spit the disk out like immediately. Don't know why that is. I'm going to try and clean and relubricate the drive, see if that takes care of it, but yeah, that's kind of a strange issue. I'm not exactly sure why it does that, because it does read disks fine. Cosmetically, this machine is in great shape other than, again, the hinges. The back case here is like common open. But it's in great shape. It has the I/O door, something that a lot of these machines are missing, because the power button is in the inside here, and I think a lot of times people will just open this up, their thumb goes right there, that's where the detent is. We'll either break this off, or the little pegs here will get brittle and break off. So I'm very lucky that this has it, and it's in great shape, so I'm going to be very careful with it. Feet, they work, they're fine. One of these has like a little piece missing from it. I don't know how that happened. It was that way when I got it. If I have an extra one, I have a bag of like extra components. If I have an extra one, I'll replace it. If not, no big deal. It doesn't hurt anything. It still sits level. Battery, there's not one in here right now. I have the battery, I'll show you it, but it's no good, obviously. It's, 30 years old. This Macintosh would be 30 years old, 1993. So yeah, it's just no good. This is the battery. It's puffed up. There's corrosion inside of it that's corroding the contacts here. I took it out before it started leaking, but obviously this is no good. You can't use this. Maybe if I got one that wasn't leaking or puffed up that I could rebuild it. But yeah, this one is, I think, too far gone. We'll see if we open it up. Someone does make LiPo replacements for the PowerBook 100. It's a board that they have designed that is able to work with the PowerBook 100. I'm thinking I can use that though, and upgrade this, like use that shell and put different LiPo batteries in it and then make it work with this. So we'll see if that's something that we do. I guess we'll just have to get into that. Anyway, come along with me and we'll go through a light restoration of this PowerBook 180C. All right, I found a guide, service guide, so yeehaw. This is the part that scares me, is taking this thing off. You're supposed to be able to just push down in the middle. Yep, there it goes. Ooh, that's scary. I don't want to break it. The little pegs on there, they can easily break. But it's off. Next is 4 screws. This one, this one, this one, this one. And they are T8 Torx and a T10 Torx, because there's one in the back there. So these are T10, that's a T8. Let me grab my little driver set. All right, I flipped my whole house upside down, but I found my Torx Allen wrenches because there's one screw on the back here that's a T8. I couldn't find it, and I don't have it in my driver set, but I have an Allen wrench of one. All right. Ooh, look at that. Whole thing's loose. This is scary. This is old and brittle. I don't want to break it. Yeah, there's little plastic tabs that hold it together. I don't have a plastic spudger, and I don't want to use a screwdriver. What do I have?
Nothing. Okay. Well, shoot. There we go. Hey. All right, we're out. All right, interconnect cables on the back side. It says it should be, there it is. See it? That cable there needs to pull apart. It looks like a little IDE connector. And then this whole bottom half should just come off. There it is. Ooh. Yes, don't lose screws. There is a CMOS battery. It's one of those that's soldered on. Look at that. Ooh, there's all the fun stuff. There's that memory module. Okay. Interesting.
Isn't that cool?
Kingston memory module. Isn't that cool? Let's pull this out and take a look at it. It's so little.
You see that? It's very small.
So this is 8 megabytes. I wonder if that's how you'd get it to 10 megabytes, is if you soldered on these. Here, I actually have. Where is it? I have this thing. This is another Kingston. It's a 10 megabyte memory module, but it's not for the 180C, and I didn't know that when I bought it. It's for the regular 180. And I'm a little disappointed because it needs to be able to wrap around in a funky way to be able to fit, and this little card here, whatever this is in the way. What is this? Oh. That's another memory module. Wait a second, there's 2 memory modules? Oh, okay. This is the 4 megabyte that's on it. It has to be. This must be the 4 megabyte that comes on it. And then this is an extra. Gosh, that's funky. Well then, how does this work? Because that wouldn't fit on there because it has these things here. Ooh, these are soft and gooey. All right, well, let's get back to what we were doing. We've got a hard drive we need to replace, so let's get into that. I've got to remove the motherboard or the daughter board. Is that what I have to do? Okay. Well, let's do that then. There it goes. Hey. All right. Gosh, this is all... It's very, very just unnerving to be inside of here because I don't want to break anything. Yeah, this one standoff is broken. Look at that. Use a T8 Torx driver, remove the 5 screws from the drive retainer. So that's here, 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 here. Oh. I'm gonna have to remove this modem because it's in the way. Okay. PowerBook 1.4, 14.4 modem card. There's nothing interesting on it. It's just a modem. Let's get these screws out so I can get this hard drive out. Gosh, this is not easy to work on. Damn, these screws are tight. That could be part of the reason why they all break too. First impact and they're just going to shatter because there's so much tension on them. Oh, that standoff's broke already. Okay. That one's broken. Okay. What about this one? That one's broken. Cool. All right. They're all broke. You turn it and it snaps. They're so tight. Apple was maybe afraid stuff would come loose. How tight should we make it, sir? Oh, everything. 100 torques. Sorry? 100 torques. 1,000,000 foot-pounds. Okay. All right, sir. Just as you wish. Oh, this one won't come up because the standoff has a thing, little plastic welded to it. Oh gosh, I'm not gonna be able to get this off. Come on. All right, there it goes. Casualties everywhere. All right, here's our hard drive. Finally, SCSI, of course. It's little, but beefy. Little but beefy. Chonky. It's thick. That's it. Gosh, this thing is, what does it say on it? It is a Quantum 160 megabyte SCSI, manufactured to Apple specifications, Quantum Go Drive, GRS. Made in Japan. But gosh, this thing is noisy. Do I have anything? Can we open this up? I want to look inside of here. And I guess this is also TA torques? No, it is smaller than that. It's like a T5. I don't have a T5. What do I have? I've got nothing. I don't have anything. Well, shoot, how am I going to get in here? Yeah. Oh well. Cool looking though. I mean, it looks like a full-size hard drive, but just shrunk down. Like it's the same. That's really cool. I might just hold on to this. That's really cool. Anyway, let's get this floppy disk out, or floppy drives out, so we can clean it. Because that was something I said I wanted to do. Sony. There's the eject mechanism probably on the back here. I hope I never have to touch it. And now that I said that, it's going to break as soon as I put it back in. I don't see an easy way to open this up. Does the top just come off? I think it does. I think this top cover just comes off. Looks like there's a couple bent tabs that keep it retained. So let's get underneath here. Probably pull out. Yep, one there. One here. Last one here. Ooh, pretty. Brown PCB, or is that just all the, oh my gosh. No, that's all copper. Okay. Like, is that all traces? No. Well, I guess, yeah, kinda. Very dense. Dense and compact drive. Let's see if we can clean this real well. Alright, I'll just leave this on the end of the screwdriver here. And place it carefully so I don't lose all the little washers and lock rings. Ooh. I can't move it very far, but that's enough to get me in there to clean it and clean that little worm gear inside of there very, very carefully. You're gonna need some alcohol and Q-tips. I don't mean the drinking kind, although that wouldn't be too bad either. There's one capacitor in here that is the old can style on this drive. It's on the underside. So that might be something too that would need to be looked at some time. Gosh, I can't see what I'm doing. Looking in here at funky angles. Get a little lube on the gear. Try not to make a mess everywhere. That side's in. That side's in. Just have the screw. put this back on. All right. One fresh drive. Should I take out the motherboard?
There's that one broken standoff. I might have to, actually.
Yeah, motherboard's out. Awesome.
So we have the main machine tore down. Let's now focus on getting this display apart.
There's 2 screws behind these rubber pads. Ooh. Yeah, it wants to fall over. Let's get these out without damaging it. Get out of there. Now it's just 2 more, looks like probably T8s. Cool. Let's, oh. Huh. Okay, that was a lot more dramatic than it needed to be. Cool. Interesting. There's the bezel. I think I have to unplug this. But it should. Oh, there's plastic pieces falling out. It should just kind of fall out. There we go. All right. Detached. Yes. There's the capacitors. There's all the dirty things. Here's where they are. This is the problem board. Made by Sharp. Gosh, that thing's thick. It has 2, like... Oh, so all that does then is... Okay. All that does is just power up these 2 lights. Interesting. Well, anyway. Yeah, it don't look so fucking fantastic in here. Let's pull these cables out of the way so you can get a good look. Alright, let's flip this screwdriver around too. All right, here we have it. One Macintosh PowerBook 180C display panel. Isn't that just beautiful? This is a fucking behemoth of a thing. Made in Japan by Sharp. There's all the numbers if you want it. These capacitors, honestly, don't look awful. Ooh, what is that? Whatever that is doesn't look good. What's that? 8EMI1 or 8EM1? What is that and why does it look so burnt? Some of these capacitors do look a little puffy, but I don't know. All right, that board's out, which means the shield should just come out.
And it does. This thing goes underneath it, I guess. And it does. There you have it. Oh gosh, you haven't been able to see anything. There you have it. This is the thing we needed. And that's very broken. And so is that. None of these are broke. None of these are broke. That's nice. Give them time. So all we have to do now is cut. This is one of the biggest projects I've ever undertaken. I thought the libretto was complicated. Oh, we're cutting. So my lovely plastic shavings. So these are gone. It's not very smooth. Let's sand it real quick. Here's what we got. They're a little sanded, roughed them up just a little bit to help with the adhesion. These fit really, really nice. I'll make sure I'll leave a link in the description of where these came from. It's an eBay listing. List the guy who sells them. They just line up great. There they are, perfect, ready to go. So, awesome. Let's get, I have some JB Weld plastic bond. It's tan in color, but that doesn't matter. Let's get some of that mixed up. I've never used this stuff before. I have used JB Weld before, let me say that. I know it doesn't adhere to rust very well. Anyway, let's close this back up. Now this is called plastic bond, so does that mean this is going to bond itself closed and I'll never open it again? Probably. I think this is too much, but oh well. Alright, that seems mixed. Smells funky, looks funky. Looks real funky. Probably shouldn't taste it. Let's get some JB Weld on here. I don't know how much is too much. Did I read the instructions? Fuck no. What do I look like? Some kind of responsible person? Remember, I cut up a Toshiba libretto. That's right, I don't ever plan on selling it. Ta-da! That's it! Now we leave it and wait for it to cure, which should be in 30 minutes. Really? 30 minutes? That's it? Okay. Well, that's the top done. Now we need to work on the other side. I guess let's start on this one. This one's going to be easy. Oh gosh, it's already setting up. Getting stiff. Ugh, gooey. All right, there's that one in place. Now, let's do this one here. So this is plastic bond. Is that gonna stick to metal? I should have thought about that beforehand. Anyway. All right, there's that one. And last is this one. Let's goop it up. All right, a little too much. Too much goop. Okay. I think the easiest way to get this one in is if I put a screw in it. And then just kind of place it where it should be. Is that it? No, that's not it. Honey. Oh, honey. Oh, honey. Gosh, that was a fight to get that in place. And we're not done yet. We have one more. All right, last but not least is this one here. Let's get some more goop and just kind of get it on. If my love It's on my hands! I've been tainted!
You were tainted before this started, don't even.
Okay. Not the prettiest, if I'm being honest. So I'm not going to be honest anymore. It's beautiful. No one's ever done it better. How's that?
I finally got something in the mail. A new battery. Now, the original battery on this is a Panasonic VL2320, and those are very expensive if you look on them on eBay. So I didn't buy one there. They're like 30 bucks. So instead, for like 10 bucks, I bought this, which is a Panasonic VL2020, which is the same. It's a 3-volt battery, rechargeable. And that's what's important about this, is that these batteries are rechargeable. So as you have your computer plugged in, this is supposed to recharge. So you can't just put like a standard just CR2032 and something like that in there. It's not going to work. So I guess it will work. You can just damage your battery if you try to charge it, because it's not a rechargeable battery. So this is a replacement for this. It's a little bit smaller, but it should work just as fine. So let's get that replaced.
Crap. Well, shoot. I just damaged the speaker. Shoot.
Fuck! Ah! Alright, you know what? I'm done. I'm done. Let's just put the new one in. There. You'd never be able to tell. Right? Huh. That sucks.
It's been a couple hours. Everything is cured. It's not all pretty. I went overzealous in a couple spots, I must admit. But, I mean, everything is real secure. It's not moving. So, I'm pretty happy with it. Nice and solid. So, that means it's time to put everything back together. Things are coming together slowly. I have the floppy disk put back in. The motherboard main part of it is now mounted. Everything sits in here relatively all right. That's a little loose, but that's fine. It'll be tight when I tighten it down. The only thing I'm concerned about now is this is what I'm going to be using for the hard drive. It's a SCSI to SD adapter. It's ones that's specifically made for PowerBooks. I have a micro SD card in here, 4 GB, and it's unallocated. So I completely cleaned it and did not put a format on it. That way the installer can put its own format, whatever it wants to use, on there. My only concern though is that this fits in here pretty nice, like that. And these 2 little tabs actually hold it. That's what locates it on the real hard drive, but it really doesn't fit in here securely, and I don't have a way to mount it, and I don't have any double-sided tape. So I'm not exactly sure what I'm going to do. My concern is if I just place it in there loosely, when I put this bracket on, there's nothing holding it. And what I don't want to happen is for it to flop around and short out on something inside the machine. So I'm gonna have to figure that out now. I found something. A piece of foam right here. That'll hold it nice and secure. Good. Nice and tight. Awesome. All right, 2 more. Uh-oh. This one doesn't really want to go in either. What is that? I wonder if these screw holes are full of JB weld.
Oh yeah, that one is. Shoot. I'll have to clean them out with like a drill or something. Well, unfortunately, this is as far as I get with it tonight. All 4 screws went in okay on the motherboard, or the daughter board, I guess. This is technically the motherboard underneath, and this is the daughter card. Unfortunately, I can't go any further with it because the screws, these holes on top, they're full of the JB Weld stuff. I didn't think about that as a possibility, but the screws won't go in because there's stuff in them, and I don't want to snap them. So what I'm gonna have to do is get like a very small drill bit and just boop through both of them just to get all that junk out, and then they should screw in fine. The long ones were fine, but that's because the screws don't go in far enough for it to actually reach where the JB weld would be on the very bottom. So see you tomorrow.
All right, actually, I'm super curious. I need to know. I plugged the stuff back in.
I think everything should be plugged back in. I gotta plug it in just to make sure I didn't absolutely fuck everything up. No display, but hold the power button. Ah! It still works! Amazing. All right, we'll shut it off. All right. And the speaker still works, and it doesn't sound bad.
Yet. So, awesome.
Am I making you nervous? We're gonna drill. Just clean out these holes. That's our goal. All right, no more gunk in them. Let's see if these will thread in now. Ooh. Man, that's still very tight. Maybe I need to get just a little bit larger of a drill bit and try that. Ooh. Oh, that's not good. Well, shoot. Well, see, now that's a problem. I drilled out the threads. Okay, well, you know what? I think I'm gonna forget about these 2 up top. Yeah. Oops. Shoot. Oops. I got them. They're in, and they're in tight. They're not coming out. It's not loose at all. And don't ask what I had to do to get it figured out. Oops. Don't ask what I had to do that. They're in, okay? They're fine. It's all fine. Everything's fine. Now. So now, everything's together. Now I can just put it together. Cool. So we can put this bottom half together now.
and hopefully not have issues. I do have to connect this little ribbon cable here. Woo. Not break it. Let's get this little ribbon cable on. All right, that's in. Get the front on. Oh yeah, that's on. Okay. Now it should just all kind of go back together. Like that. And of course it's gonna be a little squishy because of the little pads that they have for heatsink in there, but that's it. That's together. How cool is that? Let's get it screwed in. Now it's display time. It's time for the fun, exciting part, which is putting in the inserts into this bit of 3D printed plastic. Now these, all you have to do is set them in the right spot, and you're supposed to just be able to get them hot when you touch them. Oh, and they'll just start to melt and go in. Ah, look at that. It's working. How cool is that? Do this one next. My love, my luxury is right here in your heart. You are. Oh yeah! Let's put the back together. First thing we're gonna do is put the shield on, and then this shield goes second. Then there's this piece here. Goes there. And there's two little screws. Before I get the display panel on, I need to put this on the machine because the cable needs run. I have to run a cable to the back side of there. All right, well, let's get this screwed on the machine then. Shit, it fell on the machine. Ta-da! I missed a couple steps, but we're ready to test now. Let's try something here real quick. Got a floppy disk. Put it in, first of all, see if it reads. Probably won't, I don't think it's formatted. There we go. Hey! It's working! Hello, Editing Aaron here. You're about to watch me go down a pretty big rabbit hole. what was going on was I bought this SCSI to SD device, and I'd never actually seen anyone use one other than just plug it in and say that it worked. So I had no idea that you had to at first configure the SCSI to SD adapter. This explains why it was a whole lot more expensive than things like compact flash to IDE adapters. Basically, this isn't just fooling the computer into thinking that it's a SCSI hard drive. It is an all-in-one SCSI solution. So there's a utility on it that allows you to split the drive up into like 7 different devices. You can, enable parity, you can enable SCSI 2 mode, you can set your delay time, host speed, you can set termination on it, you can set the SCSI ID, what kind of device it is, you can set the sector size, you have to set up what size the actual hard disk is that you're going to be emulating. You can set up a vendor ID, a product ID, serial number. So that was my first problem, is that I didn't know that you had to set it up like that. My second problem is that I was using a micro SD card that was actually incompatible with the SCSI to SD adapter, and this is something I didn't figure out until today. So I found a patched version of the SCSI HD setup by Apple that you could use that will let you set up any hard drive, because initially you can't do that, and you can't do it with the Apple SCSI HD setup, you can't do it with the drive setup thing either. So you have to get patched versions of them. Then I had to set up the SCSI to SD adapter for whatever size. Now, before macOS 7.5.2, your size was limited. Okay. Before macOS 7.5.2, hard disk sizes were limited to 2 gigabytes, but after that you could actually go up to 4 gigabytes. Now there's a common misconception, I guess, that your bootable sectors cannot still be larger than 2 gigabytes. I found out that this is false. You can go up to 4 gigabytes on a bootable drive. Now, when you're installing macOS, it will still only show the drive as 2 gigabytes, but when it's actually loaded into it, it is 4. So if you're setting that up, don't be surprised that it says 2 gigabytes on the install utility. You're in my way. You're in my way. All right. I need you down. I had an incompatible micro SD card. Now, the SD card that you need, it has to be a class 10 or higher, which is something that is listed on the website where you can buy them. There's a user's manual online. But yeah, you have to have a class 10 or higher, and I don't know what this cheap one was that I got off eBay was, but it wasn't a class 10. So set it up as 4 gigabytes with SCSI 2 mode. 255 or 512 is my sector size. My vendor ID was Quantum, product ID was Fireball, and then 1.0 space, which is important. It has to be 4 characters, 1.0 space. And then that should at least trick the drive setup into thinking that you have a supported hard disk. It did for me. Either that or I have a patched version, I'm not sure which. Either way, I got it set up. It is working now. It is on a 4 gigabyte hard disk thing, so it shows up as 4 gigabytes inside the system. So have fun watching me deal with that.
Welcome to the other side of my room, side you don't see too much. But anyway, this thing's given me nothing but trouble, and I've come down to the decision that I'm going to swap out the micro SD card. I'm thinking that the one I got online, which is just a cheap no brand, it just doesn't like. It doesn't matter what system I try to run, it does not initialize half the time, and if you try to copy anything on it, when it has initialized, it still does not work. So I'm just going to swap out the micro SD card with something else. I got a class 10 one, which is what they say you should use, that or higher. It's a 32 gig, but oh well, it was cheap. So hopefully this works. I'm kind of at my wit's end here.
Hi! I have some good news and I have some bad news. Let's start with the good news. It works! The micro SD card was the problem. The one that I had was incompatible. I set it back to 4 gigabytes and it works at 4 gigabytes. I have a 4 gigabyte hard drive now, which is fantastic. That's the maximum that 7.6.1 can support. And it did install and worked fantastic. No issues initializing whatsoever. It's fast, it's reliable, it's silent too, that's important. And it's everything that the old hard drive wasn't. So I also have some bad news. And I guess I'll just show it to you. I don't know what happened. I don't think the screen liked all of the screen time that it's had here lately. I didn't do that. When I was installing 7.6, I was working on my regular computer, just doing some video editing, and I was listening for it to eject the floppy disk drive so I could put the next one in, and when I turned around, it had one line through the middle. And then a second one appeared, the one above it. And then, when 7.6 and 7.6.1 were fully installed, I was using it, and it did that.
That can't be good, right? That's probably not good. Right?
I don't know what's going on. And there's another thing weird about this computer that I haven't mentioned yet. Every time that I turn it on, it has a funny smell. I've never had an electronic device make this smell. And it does come from the screen, and it almost smells like really strong ammonia. Which has me concerned, because I know that vintage Macintoshes, and really any vintage laptop, LCD screens that are aging is a real problem. They call it vinegar screen. But this one is okay. The screen doesn't have any weird issues. It doesn't look like what happens when the screen gets bad. So I don't know what's going on. But it's too late, at least for this episode. We're not going to get everything done that we wanted to do on this one. This one's taken a lot of time. So we're going to check in later, and I'm going to work on a couple other projects and think about it, and also get this screen recapped, and a couple other machines. So it's going to take time, and I'm hoping that when that happens, it will be fixed. Fingers crossed. Thank you so much for joining me on this journey. This is where we end things with a working computer, with a hard drive that's way too big, and a system operating system that's way too new, that every Mac in Wikipedia says isn't even supported. So I've already done about half what I wanted to do. So join us next time when we make a new battery for it, or refurbish the one we have, probably make a new one, and fix our weird screen issue. We recap the screen. I'm not going to do that. I'm going to send it somewhere. And hopefully we'll have a working laptop when we come back. Don't ask why that one's not on. I'll see you around. Thank you so much for making this all possible. Goodbye.